welcome. You're watching Voice Is MYn, my local commuter challenges and mobility solutions. This is an NDTV special collaboration with Myns, India's first super app. Now, Myns, just to break it down for you, has 4 personas that are designed to address the most basic needs of our daily human life. On the show today, we will look at My Local, which is a persona that's extremely interesting and is committed to finding solutions to everything that's local. So whether it's finding food, hotels, connecting you to your local kirana shop, or for that matter, even to the local bhaiya who will repair your puncture. Finding solutions to the most basic daily functional problems is the purpose of My Local. My Local's recent offering is very unique. It's a cab service in Bangalore where they claim users pay less and drivers earn more. Yes, we will ask them how they plan to do that and execute that. But it is a commitment to a cause, it seems, because My Local's even created its own network of maps in order to ensure maximum accuracy. Now, through this show, we explore the journey of this super app and how it is endeavoring to find solutions to, like I said, very local basic challenges. It's not just a discussion in the studio today. We actually went onto the ground and we discovered that mobility essentially is a huge source of stress. It's a huge daily challenge, especially in Bangalore, and Myns is trying to find, well, solutions to it. Joining us in the studios on the show today is the team behind Bengaluru's latest cab service, My Local. We have with us Mr. A.S. Rajgopal. He's the founder of Myns, India's first super app, MD and CEO of Next Gen Data Center and Cloud Technologies. We also have with us Nikhil Chanappa, India's super DJ, who collaborates with Myns on building new features for the local, like tipping before feature. Now, how does all of this work? Well, we'll get more answers to that. But before I get in my guests and we ask them some questions, let's get a ground report on what commuters face as their main challenge when it comes to mobility in Bangalore.
Namma Bengaluru. Welcome to the city of Bengaluru, the city of gardens. But this city of gardens has soon transformed into being one of the biggest IT hubs of this country. And that has led to a whole lot of commuter issues. Traffic has become quite an unusual thing over here. One can find traffic at any point of the day, just like the rains in the city. It rains in Bengaluru 365 days of the year and any time of the day. Plus, metro construction has caused a whole lot of challenges for commuters. Let us find out why mobility therefore matters in this city of gardens, the city of Bengaluru.
Like, you try to book a cab at any time of the day and you will struggle. Like, if you have to be somewhere at 2 p.m, you need to start booking at 1:30.
You call and then suddenly the booking happens and after that the guy cancels. Because you want to go some place, right? You are dependent on a timing. But suddenly if somebody cancels, then your whole planning goes for a toss.
बहुत डिफिकल्ट होता है मैडम, बहुत टाइम ये बुकिंग होता है, बट ड्राइवर के लिए कमीशन ज़्यादा, इसलिए बुक कैंसिल करता है.
At times the drivers don't answer the calls. That is what the real challenge is.
पता नहीं, all of a sudden हमें ऐसा हुआ है कि कैब्स मिलना ही मुश्किल हो गया है, मिलता ही नहीं है.
Almost in evening riding time. That time cab नहीं मिलता है. So अभी मिल गया तो ड्राइवर भी वो कैंसिल करते हैं.
Technically from early morning till the very evening itself, the prices are too high.
So rain time it's very difficult. It's almost impossible to get a cab and the surge is crazy.
Currently right now due to the surge prices, yes, it's been very difficult. The prices have increased to a point that a kilometer travel to your office would cost you about $100 altogether, giving you 200 rupees worth of going and coming, so making the prices a lot more scarier.
I think it's the surge is way higher here, but primarily because the demand is higher here.
You will not believe, madam, 2 times, 3 times more.
I in fact recently saw some post on InShorts wherein a person was charged around 3,000 rupees for a 40 kilometers ride.
Yeah, it should definitely help because that's an incentive for him to actually come.
if it helps, if at all it helps, I would like to opt for it. At least it would be available then.
Maybe. In case of emergency, maybe the driver will be kind of induced or in some way to accept the ride. So in emergency situations, yeah.
पक्का मैडम, बिकॉज मेरा पॉकेट से आप लिया तो वो रॉन्ग है, नहीं दिया तो खुशी से देता ना. That is fine.
What we found out when we spoke to all of these commuters was the fact that it's difficult for them to book cab rides, tough for them to travel from one part of the city to another because of traffic, untimely rains, and at the same time, surge prices. That continues to be a very big challenge. Let's see how is it that our partners Myns can actually come up to better the situation.
So, Mr. Rajagopal, if I can begin by asking you, what does your research essentially tell you about cab bookings and cancellations, and how is MyLocal trying to address some of these problems?
I think the first and foremost thing is that we have to make cab rides more viable for drivers. I mean, that's the first thing that we wanted to do, and that we do it by eliminating commissions, and we charge a fixed fee. But more importantly, what's happening is that when a user requests a ride, the driver needs to know whether he wants to go that side or not. So what we do is we pass on that information, including the price that the user is willing to pay, and driver has an option of choosing whether to go with the ride or not. But on the same time, on the user side, you want to ensure that there is a ride. So what we do is we send that request to multiple drivers in the same area. So whoever is making a choice, the driver is making a choice, he wants to serve you in that direction. So the probability of actually going through a ride is far higher on Myns compared to all other cab aggregators, where a ride is assigned to a driver and he's forced to take it, and so he comes up with excuses to avoid that ride, or he's asking you for you to cancel it and things like that. So hopefully this approach simplifies the problem that is there, and it will give choice on both sides. The driver gets a choice of making a choice to actually go where he wants to go, and the user gets the choice of actually reaching out to multiple drivers in the same area and actually ride with the person who's interested in taking you in that direction.
Interesting. So you're essentially working on a win-win model for both the driver and the consumer. Let me now go across to Nikhil Chanappa. From DJing to helping develop app features, this has been an interesting journey for you, hasn't it? Tell us a little bit about that, and also talking specifically about this app, one of the new features which has really caught everyone's attention is this tipping before feature. So what are you trying to do with it?
The thing is, I've always loved figuring things out. In the music festivals that we build, I'm always trying to figure out how to get a cold drink in your hands in the least possible time. And as most people know, some of the coolest things to have been developed in the world have come out of Bangalore. Bangalore people are always doing cool things. I'm from Bangalore, Raj is from Bangalore, the app Myns is from Bangalore, and we got together pretty early on in Myns' career path, and I'm an early investor in the app as well, full disclosure. And we're trying to figure out a key problem that I think all of us have across the world, not just in India, which is how do I get a cab when I want it and where I want it? The big issue that I see on social media these days is that everybody's talking about how cancellations on ride-sharing apps is a major stress point for consumers. You book a cab, the driver calls you and cancels. You book a cab, 10 minutes later the driver's not showing up, you have to cancel. And that's a massive problem because cab drivers don't want to go where you want to go, because many cab-sharing apps don't disclose your destination to the driver, so the driver has to call you.
Right.
And very often a driver's like, "Wahan pe jaunga, if I go there, I've got to come back empty, so I may not want to go." Now, we've all been in a situation where we need to get to somewhere quickly, whether it's for an appointment, whether it's to get to the airport because we're going to miss a flight, whether somebody's had an accident and we need to get to them quickly. And at that point in time, when time is of the essence, you don't mind paying a little bit extra to a cab guy. Back in the day, when I grew up in Bangalore at Brigade Road, which is where we all used to go and hang out, which is the cool spot in Bangalore, you could negotiate with the auto driver. And the usual joke is the auto driver would say 1.5, which is 1.5, but when you say it in Bangalore, it's one word, 1.5. And that negotiation is not possible on a cab sharing app. So we came up with this revolutionary idea where if you have to go somewhere urgently and you don't mind paying a little bit extra, you tell the driver up front, listen, I need to get here. I'll give you 50 rupees more. I'll give you 100 rupees more. I'll give you 200 rupees more. I'm going to miss my flight to the States. That ticket costs 65,000 rupees. I don't mind giving you 5,000 rupees more Just get me to the airport in time. And a cab driver is more than happy to do that. And that's the revolutionary feature that we've introduced into the Myns ride-sharing app or the ride-hailing app, where you can tip the driver in advance based on your urgency to get somewhere.
Mr. Rajagopal, the next question that comes to mind is then this sense of urgency that I've displayed by this tipping before feature. Can't that be perhaps misused? What are the sort of safeguards against that?
So the number one, it is your choice whether you want to tip or not, and how much you want to tip as well is your choice. But most important thing is the ride request goes through multiple drivers. It is not going to one driver so that he can, say no. So if it's not me who's not happy with the tip, maybe somebody else would be happy. So as I said, it's a balance that we are trying to achieve. By actually giving this choice to multiple drivers, we believe that it will not be misused.
Okay.
Rastika, this is actually a question I get asked a lot. Won't drivers misuse this? Won't everybody not take a ride unless a tip is offered? And my point is this: when you've got 50, 100, 200 cab drivers out there and they're all looking for work because that's why they're in a cab, that's their job, that's what they do. There may be some who'll want to hold back and say, hang on, let me wait for a 100 rupee tip and then I'll take it. And there's somebody else who's just started working half an hour ago and is looking for his first ride of the day. It's fastest finger first. So that ride, like Raj explained, is available to multiple cab drivers at the same time. And if you're the cab driver who's going to hold back and say, let me wait for that tip, you're going to miss that ride. You're going to lose that ride. And at some point in time, you'll realize that it's only worth waiting for a tip if there is congestion in the system, if there is a problem and more people want to travel, or if there genuinely is urgency and somebody wants a cab in the next 2 minutes, and then that particular cab driver gets lucky because he gets a tip.
Right. It's interesting because what we'll also talk about in the show is how, just booking cabs and ensuring seamless mobility has also led to an increase in anxiety levels, and there's evidence to sort of show that. But I think what you've placated is fears of misuse and how you sort of plan to combat that with so many multiple stakeholders. On that very interesting note, we're going to take a very short break, but both Nikhil and Mr. Rajagopal are going to be with us on the other side, and we will discuss a very interesting report on, anxiety levels while booking a cab. Welcome back. Well, as promised, let's now take a look at this report, a ground report once again from Bengaluru, where we try to find out people's reaction to booking a cab when it's actually raining. This is what Bengaluru told us.
So I'm going to give you one situation. Imagine if you have to book a cab ride from point A to point B and it suddenly starts to rain. What's the first thought that will be there in your mind?
Okay, the first thing that would be in my mind is, would I get a cab? Would I get an auto?
फर्स्ट थॉट बहुत टेंशन होता है, कैब मिल रहा है और रोड में वेट करना है, ऐसा होता है. ये फैमिली के लिए बहुत टाइम नहीं है ना.
It will be a nightmare completely.
What we have learned is to always be prepared with an umbrella. No matter if there's sunlight in the morning, night, whenever, you need an umbrella, because the cab drivers will not accept it. It's been really hard, especially in the rain.
If there is a rain, then getting a cab or auto, it's really difficult.
Yeah, we feel that whenever the emergency comes, like raining, this season though we will not get the cabs only, so it will be in high demand. So whichever app it might be, you in different app, if you try also you will not get. If you get also, it will be in high price.
The first thought is I won't get a cab. I won't get one at all, and if I do, I know he'll be very finicky. So I know I won't get it. That's my first thought.
The first thought will be there will be crazy traffic on the way. The second will be you won't get a cab if you want to take a cab, so you won't get it.
क्या होता है, आज का दिन खत्म हो गया. ऐसे ही आएगा.
What the hell?
That's the first thought.
Yeah.
This is really fascinating. So, tell us, I mean, this anxiety levels with Bengaluru residents when it's raining and they're trying to book a cab, I mean, some of these results have been truly fascinating.
Yeah, it's everyday learning for us. I mean, we checked at various points in the city, and I don't think it changes. I mean, there are no special areas in city where there is no anxiety not happening at all. I mean, so it's a citywide problem in Bangalore.
Right. And there are some really interesting tweets where there's actually a map that Garv Malik has tweeted saying, trying to book a cab in Bengaluru for 45 minutes caused this massive spike in my blood sugar level. Never imagined it was this stressful.
It is stressful. And we've all experienced it. This is not news to us. We've all been in that situation when you're trying to get a cab and you can't. And the thing is, technology has been a great enabler in all of our lives. You know, whether it's the streaming services that allow you to listen to more music, whether it's email that allows you to communicate with people faster. But technology also comes with its fair share of stresses. And for some reason, even though cab sharing or cab hailing apps have been around for a while, it's sort of, instead of making our lives better and easier, it's made them more stressful. And I think that's what we're trying to solve for over here with the new feature on Myns.
You know, Roshan Abbas has this really interesting tweet, and he's, of course, again, probably, you know, talking about this nightmare experience. And he says, customer trust, which app services are really built on, has essentially just disappeared. It's down to zero because, you know, numerous bad experiences, sometimes so many of them in a single day. Like, how do you intend to keep up with the trust of your customers?
So I think we should first recognize the fact that these are micro enterprises, all these cab drivers. I mean, they invest in a cab, you know, they're fueling it, they're maintaining it, and then they're driving it. So it's not that they don't want to serve the customers. I mean, because they've invested quite a lot in serving the customers. But what happens is when it's unviable for them to service is when the stress comes into the picture. So what we are trying to do is that we want to ensure that the cab driver makes more money. Actually, he makes all the money that the user pays, so that, you know, his ability to earn more dramatically increases. So we do this exercise on a daily basis. I mean, we keep comparing. I mean, in my view, by paying a fixed fee, a small fixed fee, a technology platform can be viable as a business. It need not charge a commission for every ride. And whatever the user pays, the money goes directly to the driver. I mean, that's what makes a very balanced approach to this problem. And suddenly these cab drivers become viable. When they are viable, I mean, they want more business. I mean, when you're losing money, you actually don't want to do more business. I mean, so in this case, I think you would do more business than you would normally do. So I hope this no commission business will actually make a huge change in the way drivers approach the customers.
You know what?
Interesting, because there's also this tweet that Shikha Gupta has put out, and she's of course linked this to cancel culture, which is, I think, a really interesting take on this whole thing.
I think that's at the core of all of this.
Who's going to cancel first?
It's at the core. At the core of the problem is the number of cancellations that you're faced with when you try and book a cab today in India. And I think that's also something that Roshan is talking about, is the loss of trust. You know, you book a cab, you wait around for 10 or 15 minutes, the guy doesn't show up or he cancels on you. You book a cab, the guy calls you and says, where do you want to go? If it's not a place that he wants to go to, then he makes an excuse. So I think one of the things that we're doing at Myns over here is just increasing the level of transparency. We're allowing the customer to know what he's going to pay. We're allowing the customer to tip in advance, so there's transparency on that front. The cab driver gets to see where the customer wants to go before he accepts or turns the ride down, so there's transparency on that front. So there's no need for the cab driver to first accept a ride, then call to find out that it's a place that he doesn't want to go to, then cancel the ride, which is frustrating for everybody. It's frustrating for the customer, it's frustrating for the cab driver. So I think that by increasing transparency, we're going to be able to fix a lot of these problems, and we're going to try and minimize that cancel culture that Shikha so cleverly put into a tweet. It's quite funny.
You know, one of the other issues that's also been addressed in several of these Twitter reactions that we have is about, you know, cleanliness and functionality. So I think that's one of the major issues when it comes to enhancing user experience. You know, what's your sort of plan of action to ensure that?
There are far more fundamental things to address. I mean, we are doing a health camp for all the cab drivers. We've completed about 1,200 of them as on today. We've realized that 86% of them have never done a health check, and most of them need their eyes to be, they should wear specs now, I mean, because their eyes are not functioning. There are many other issues with them. So the first thing that we are tackling is that to ensure that these guys take care of themselves and they're fit to ride. I mean, that's very critical. We are even giving away spectacles to these people because we realize that you go do the test and you give him the test and these guys won't go and go get a spectacle done. So we are actually giving that spectacles also to free to these guys. So the first step that we are taking is to ensure that they're taking care of themselves. I mean, and then we will take care of this, the cab being, more acceptable for the rider. And this is a step that starts with taking care of themselves first, and then take care of their car. I mean, that's how we want to approach this. So we believe that taking care of themselves first was far more fundamental thing to do first than just fixing the car side of things.
Well, that's so interesting. How many of us actually looked at it that way, that, does my driver wear the correct glasses? Has he got his eyes tested, etc.? So
it's like that story in that book, Tipping Point. When they fixed the broken windows in a rundown neighborhood, people just felt better about the neighborhood, and the neighborhood became a more viable, nicer place to live in. Just by fixing the broken windows in that neighborhood, they fixed crime in that region. So I think, the point that Raj makes is a very important point. Help the cab drivers, and if they're in a happy place, they will automatically extend that level of satisfaction and better living and better lifestyle to their place of work, which is their cab, which will translate into a better experience for their customers.
Well, we're out of time, and we have time for very quick closing comments. So any final thoughts, anything that you want to share with viewers?
For us, the value proposition and the excitement from the cab drivers is a big encouragement, and it's important that we take the same value proposition to cab drivers across the country, and we're working towards that. And what follows this is delivery services, and then finally you'll be able to do a lot of retail on proximity retail. So My Local is evolving to be a very exciting place to do business.
Nikhil?
Rachika, as Indians, I'm aware that we're a price-sensitive market and we're a price-conscious community of people. But I think more and more people like myself are valuing their time above physical cash. And I think the ability to be able to get a cab where you want it and when you want it is going to be far greater than spending $50 more or $100 more on that tip on that cab driver. And I think that's why this is going to be quite revolutionary and disruptive in the cab hailing service in our country.
Well, super. I think these ideas sound amazing, and the verdict will be out. These things travel so quickly. Word of mouth travels so quickly. So we wish you all the very best. You're looking for a win-win model where the driver and the commuter wins. Everybody wins in this model, and I sincerely hope that it works. That's all the time we have on this edition. Thanks for tuning in.